was great to see Agnes Varda and Kate Blanchett and everybody striding together, and you suddenly think, my goodness, the wealth of expertise and brilliance amongst this group of women, we need more of that. So for me, it felt like, it's very encouraging that this is what we want to see more of in the future, and you can't argue with that. Nobody could argue with that. It's great. Let's just keep moving up. And I think the most important thing is that it inspires other young women to feel that they belong in the film industry, that it's not a world that is, not welcoming to them. They have to realize that there's a whole family of women who've come before them, who've paved the way for them to be a part of it. So I think ultimately it's a protest and a celebration at the same time.
Well stated.
It was, yeah.
Well, I mean, I grew up in a matriarchy, all these female figures who were, formed my life and created my world, and, because I didn't have my grandfather there, didn't have my father there, it is all women, and my aunts and everything. And so what I hope comes of this, I love this whole thing of, I guess, I don't know what you call it, like the empowerment of women at this time. But I'd love to see just a matriarchal world. I'd like to see, get these old white men out of the freaking government. Let's just, that Emily's post they have or Emily's list?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's all like, it's a cool organization that's trying to help women in politics.
Yeah.
And supporting them and wherever they're running for office and such. And
where there's greatest progress,
I really like that.
There's greatest resistance. So I think that's one of the reasons why in the last decade we've seen a kind of a resistance to feminism and the rising. And I find it strange sometimes when I hear, this MeToo movement is too much, enough already. It's like, well, it's actually been there all the time. It's just rising to a surface where we can see it, and it's a really exciting moment because, in order to deal with trauma, you have to release it, and then you can find a way to live. So I feel like this is a flashpoint of the release of trauma. And finally, because Me Too is different to, say, Time's Up. Me Too is just an existential expression, a tsunami around the world of, finally I can not be ashamed to reveal something which I've been carrying around and feeling like I was the only one, or I was, I couldn't say it because I was too ashamed, or I was not going to be recognized, and accepted. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see in the years to come, because there's no quick fix, how the dust will settle, and we have to be ready to, I think, to show a place where we want to get to. You know what I mean? And I think by seeing these women the other day representing themselves and possibilities and a brave future and, and a sisterhood, it's like we can settle that dust, and that's where we can get to.